Hi everyone, this is Veronica. Today our topic of discussion is about predatory pricing. So here we'll discuss about the market structures, what is online versus offline, what is predatory pricing in detail. For my video updates and queries, you can connect with me on Instagram and Facebook because I feel together we can make a difference. Now see what is the relevance of this topic in your exams. It will be covered in your mains paper 3. At examination level, you should know about ensuring fair competition and dealing with the problem of predatory pricing. So in what context today we are studying this? See, any intervention to correct pricing essentially involves placing a higher weightage on the assumed losses of competitors, producers, than on the consumer's apparent gains. So what does this mean? This means, suppose I have a company, I have started a company of sanitizers. So now when it comes to settle a price, like in one bottle, for how much rupees I'm going to sell my one bottle. So I decide, okay, let me keep it at rupees 20. And how I will decide the price, like how usually the companies decide the price in the market. They don't want to look at the gains of the customer. Rather, what they do, they see how we can send our competitors losses, right? So they will assume, okay, the other company, somebody is selling at 30, somebody is selling at 50, let me keep it as lower as I can. So that is why I said the higher weightage is given on the assumed losses of competitors rather than consumers' apparent gains. So this is known as predatory pricing. Talking in detail about this mechanism of predatory pricing, so this is basically a strategy whereby the biggest players, what they do, biggest players in the industry who have deep pocket prices, they price their goods or services at rock bottom levels so that there are no rivals who can compete with them. So once everyone else runs up huge losses and they are forced out of the business, the giant makes hay by withdrawing the free buys and fleecing the consumers. So predatory price is specifically defined as sale or goods or services at a price below the cost of production with a view to reduce or eliminate competition. So why they do predatory pricing? To end the competition in the market. So that is what we are going to discuss today. So before moving forward, let me tell you, if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, you can subscribe it and hit the bell icon so that you do not miss any important video updates. Okay, see, any intervention, as I told you about the predatory pricing, now there is a term called duopoly or duopolies. So in the market these days, we are seeing duopoly. So what is duopoly? Like you have heard the word monopoly, there is a domination of one company. In duopoly, there is a domination in the market of two companies at the same time in a particular sector. So duopolies in the most segment we are seeing today, and even there is a scrutiny by CCI now. CCI is the Competition Commission of India. Now coming to the duopolies, see, the online marketplace or the platform intermediation service market is now largely characterized by duopolies in most segments. That means two companies are ruling together. For example, if we take an example of e-commerce, so in e-commerce, what we are seeing, Amazon is there, then you see Flipkart is there, right? Next is take an example of transport company. For in transport company, there is Ola, there is Uber, again a duopoly. Then let's talk about maybe food service. So for the food service, we have Zomato, we have Swiggy, again a duopoly. Then talking about the travel bookings. So still today, the Make My Trip and Yatra are dominating the market, duopolies. So this is what I am telling you, that the duopolies are there in the most of the segments. Although there are some niche players, small players who do exist in these segments, but by and large the market has been carved up by the large players. Now, as I told you, CCI is scrutinizing these companies. So Competition Commission of India is scrutinizing several of these companies. So what are the issues involved? Why they are being scrutinized? Because the issues involved here have far-reaching ramifications for both online and offline market price. Some of the more contentious issues here are, some questions that you can ask, do such market structure restrict online competition? Next, you can ask, are the players engaging in predatory pricing? Are they doing this? I explained you what is predatory pricing. If so, is it driving out both online and offline competition, and does this adversely impact consumer welfare? So if both the answers are yes and yes, so then the question arises, are they doing this to eliminate the competition both from the online and offline spheres, and is there a need for policy intervention? If so, what should be the underlying framework? Why we would need a policy? Because if they are impacting consumer welfare, then definitely we are in need of a policy. So see, now there are lower barrier to entry that is not translating into greater competition. There is not much barrier to entry into the market, but this entry is not translating into greater competition. Why? Because the market is not working as per theory. In theory, if we talk about market, how it works, the online market structure should facilitate greater competition, because in online market you do not have much barriers, so it should increase the competition given the lower barriers to entry. But this is not happening. This is not the case. What is happening? Takeover is happening. What is takeover? Most other firms in the segments mentioned above that we have talked, they have either been taken over or have folded up. So now, what is the reason of emergence of such market structure? There are various reasons. First reason is the positive feedback loop. See, now the days of digital, whether it is digital marketing or anything, is so much digital that the positive feedback loop works so well. One explanation for the emergence of these market structure is that as the companies, they grow with more users coming on board these platforms, they benefit from what CCI calls as positive feedback loop. So this leads to market concentration. So what is happening? Market is getting concentrated. Now there are difficulties for the new players. This is the second problem. A reason, another possible explanation is that contrary to the perception, the online space is highly capital intensive. Deep pockets are actually required to fund the discounts to get customers on board initially, and such market structures are more likely in capital deficit countries like India. So incumbents, the players who are already there, they are restricting the new entrant. So the incumbents, what they are doing in other sectors, may also engage in various strategies to restrict entry and thus competition. So even small actions by these platforms coupled with network effects can adversely impact the competitions. So that is what I told you, that these online platforms, they need deep pockets, because initially you need to invest a lot to attract the consumers on board. Now we will talk about for the predatory pricing issues which are involved with it. See, allegations of predatory pricing driving out the competitions are there. Many are being alleged that these two-sided online platforms, they engage in predatory pricing or below cost pricing. Either they fund it themselves, they have deep pockets, or they squeeze it from the producers. Now this drives out the competition, whether it is online or offline. So predatory pricing is what you can call it. It is anti-competition. So this is not encouraging the competition. This is anti-competition. So if we want to know how is it harmful to the customers, so while consumers do benefit in the short run, obviously the customers will get the benefit. But once the competition is driven out, there is no competition in the market, the platform starts raising prices to recoup the previous losses. So how it is anti-competition? Try to understand. As I told you, I have a sanitizer company. I've seen that the Dettol, they are supposed selling it at rupees 50, other companies are selling at 60 and another. So I am selling my sanitizer at rupees 20. But the cost of production is even higher. It may be 30, it may be 35, but still I am selling it below the production cost. So I am going through lot of losses. But the customers in short run, they are happy. They are like, okay, why should we buy from Dettol or some other companies? Let's buy from this Veronica's company because she is selling at 20. So I will get a lot of benefit. Losses also, but then the benefit also because I'm getting the customers on board. Now what happens? I have eliminated these companies from the market because now they are in losses. Not many people are buying their product, so they are gone. I don't have any competition. Now I'm like, okay, now I will increase the prices to recover these losses. So I'll keep the price as 50, maybe 70. then the customers in long run, they cannot do anything because now there are no competitors in the market, right? So this is how this is working. So these are the issues which are involved in the predatory pricing. So first, assessing whether a platform is engaged in predatory pricing is very, very important, but this is obviously not so straightforward. In India, it is defined as price falling below the average variable cost. But why it is not so straightforward exercise? Because the dynamics of online pricing, their unique cost structures in such two-sided platforms, prices cost on both sides should be seen in conjunction. So like there are discounts for clearing inventory. So besides, one would also have to take into account that even offline firms, they engage in deep discounting to clear the inventories. So as do both online and offline firms to acquire customers in the early stages of their business. But there is a second thing also. Second thing is driving the impact of such pricing strategies on competition and on consumer welfare must be carefully assessed. Because if you are driving out the competitors, this is not equal to driving out the competition. Competition can still be there. It is quite likely that once the competition is eliminated and the platform starts to raise prices, new players will enter the market attracted by the higher prices. So driving out competitors may not be the same as driving out the competition, though the extent to which new firms are able to enter the market will depend on the degree to which barriers to entry exist. I hope this is clear to you. So there are concerns of recovering the losses. So if I have given huge discounts earlier to my sanitizer company, so then how would I recover these? The concerns are there that how would I recover the losses? So platforms will be mindful that losses will be hard to recover and may not engage in below costing price to drive out the competitors for extended periods. So this is the silver lining in this whole discussion, that yes, there are many concerns, but maybe the people won't do this because then it will be very hard to recover these losses. Okay, third is the possibility of collusion. See, this is very important. Possibility of collusion. That means there is also an argument for closer examination of such market structures because of possibility of collusion. Because customers moving towards cheaper option, they don't want to fight with each other. For example, this Pepsi and Coke, they cannot always fight with each other. They could be any companies, I don't want to take the names. So maybe there are A and B, they are selling the same things, but they cannot fight with each other all the time. So maybe they would come to an agreement. Okay, let's fix the price. We'll sell it at rupees 50. We'll sell it at rupees 35. So we both can remain together in the market. We can work together because market has enough to accommodate everyone. So consumers tend to gravitate towards the cheaper option usually, but this ensures continuous competition. So now the possibility, if they come to an agreement, possibility is the customer is left with no option. So it is possible that at some point these players, they find in their interest to venture into some sort of agreement. Now this is the third. And fourth is the dominant position is not always linked with the predatory pricing. If somebody is really dominant in the market, it is not always the predatory pricing. So as the experience of telecom sector, you can say, it shows a dominant position which may not be prerequisite for the predatory pricing. So accepting this argument would imply that if regulatory intervention is required to check predatory pricing, it could kick in before the market power or dominance is established. So like the people with the deep pockets. So alternatively, the definition of market dominance could be expanded to take into account the deep pockets. So if we want to conclude this, so there is an example of Amazon also and Google also, because they were sued by the US government also in the antitrust enforcement agencies, and they had the similar charges of predatory pricing and unfair business practices. So to conclude, we can say that there should be a set of guidelines instead of fixed framework. That means any intervention to correct pricing essentially involves placing a higher weightage on the assumed losses of competitors. This should not be thing. So this is not a straightforward exercise. So we should fix predetermined framework. That is unlikely. We should not fix, right? That is not helpful. So instead, it would be more useful to have set of guiding principles based on which regulatory intervention, if required, can be undertaken. And second is safeguarding competition and not the competitors. So competition policy should be driven by safeguarding competition, not the competitors. So it should seek to bring about greater transparency in pricing and reduce information asymmetry. Right? So this is all about today's lecture. If you have any queries, you can contact me on social media, or you can just get the PDF from the Telegram that is already uploaded there, t.me/Veronica_om, or you can just search Veronica StudyIQ. Thank you.